Ventris, the Ultramarine who was exiled, entered the Eye of Terror and came back. Uriel Ventris was born in 876.M41 in the subterranean cities of Calth, one of the core worlds of Ultramar. His family were underground farmers. He passed the Ultramarines trials, was taken to the Aegisiles barracks on Macragge for training, and earned his way into the 4th Company under Captain Idaeus. His distant ancestor, Uriel Ventris, had been a Terminator of the 1st Company killed, defending Macragge from Hive Fleet Behemoth. He served under Idaeus for years, rising to Sergeant. His loyalty to the Codex Astartes was total. Then Idaeus showed him something else. The death of Idaeus during the Thracia Campaign. The 4th Company was tasked with destroying a series of bridges to prevent rebels from breaking out and consolidating their forces. The operation was straightforward by Ultramarines standards, until a Night Lord's warband emerged from the shadows and turned it into a disaster. The 4th Company was battered, pushed back, and pinned. The Tech Marine responsible for triggering the demolition charges was dead. The bridge was still standing. Idaeus was critically wounded. He gave his power sword to Ventris, ordered him to withdraw his men, and triggered the charges himself with a crack grenade. The bridge came down. Idaeus died in the explosion. He violated the Codex to win. He sacrificed himself to protect his men. Ventris watched it happen and never forgot it. Chapter Master Marnius Calgar confirmed Ventris as the new captain of the 4th Company shortly afterward. He inherited Idaeus' sword and his command, and the lesson that came with both. The Codex Astartes was a guide, not an absolute, and outcomes sometimes demanded deviation. That belief would define Ventris' career. It would eventually destroy it. First Command, Pavonis and the Nightbringer. Ventris led the 4th Company to the world of Pavonis to suppress a rebellion that had destabilized the planet's government. What appeared to be a political crisis was something far older. A Khaitan shard, known as the Nightbringer, had been imprisoned beneath the planet's surface for aeons and was close to breaking free. A local cult had been working toward its release. The Nightbringer emerged. Ventris and the 4th Company fought it. They could not kill it. The Khaitan shard tore into Ventris' mind during the encounter, leaving psychic scars that would persist for years. The Nightbringer escaped into the void. The planet was secured. The population of Pavonis gave Ventris the white rose of Pavonis, a clasp he wore on his cloak from that point on. Tarsis Ultra, the Tyranids, and the Choice. Hive Fleet Leviathan sent a splinter fleet toward Tarsis Ultra. The Ultramarines 4th Company was deployed alongside a company of the Mortifactors chapter and several Imperial Guard regiments to hold the planet. Among the defending forces was also a Deathwatch kill team assigned by Inquisitor Cryptman. The fighting on Tarsis Ultra was brutal from the beginning. Ventris and the 4th Company held the line as the Tyranids poured through the planet's defenses. Beneath the surface, the Norn-Queen directing the swarm was identified as the strategic objective. Ventris and Pausanias, Lysane, his closest companion since training, pushed into the depths of the hive to reach it. They found it. Ventris killed the Norn-Queen using a specially developed gene poison, severing the psychic link to the Hive Mind and sending the swarm into directionless slaughter. The Tyranids began killing each other without the Overmind to direct them. The victory came at a price. The Norn-Queen poisoned Ventris at the moment of its death, causing his bloodstream to clot throughout his body. Pausanias performed a full blood transfusion on the spot to keep him alive until medical care reached them. The planet survived. The Hive Fleet splinter was broken. Then Sergeant Learchus filed his report. The trial, Learchus documented every breach of the Codex Astartes committed during the Tarsis Ultra campaign. Ventris' unorthodox tactics throughout the war, the decision to enter the Norn-Queen's lair without authorization, the abandonment of his command on the eve of final engagement. Cato Sicarius led the prosecution before chapter command. First, Captain Severus Agemund visited Ventris in his cell before the trial concluded. He told Ventris the purpose of the Codex was not to produce the perfect warrior. It was to produce a loyal one, without the Codex to hold them accountable. The Ultramarines would be no different from the Black Legion. Ventris understood. He and Pausanias waived their right to defend themselves. They stood before Chapter Master Marnius Calgar and accepted the verdict. The sentence was not death, it was exile. All Ultramarines' insignia was stripped from their armor. On the march of shame, they walked out of the fortress of Hera in silence. No longer battle brothers, they were bound to a death oath with a single objective: seek and destroy the Demonculaba, demonic womanjents seen in a vision by Chief Librarian Vero Tigorius. The location was the Eye of Terror. Calgar gave them a mission impossible to survive and called it mercy. Medringard, the Eye of Terror. Ventris and Pausanias departed Macragge on an Imperial Guard transport. The Macragge 808th Regiment, heading for the war against Abadan's 13th Black Crusade. During transit through the warp, the ship's Gellerfield failed without explanation. Everyone aboard died except Ventris and Pausanias. A demon prince, known as the Amphilis Demonium, seized them and transported them directly to Medringard, the demon world at the heart of the Eye of Terror and the domain of the Iron Warriors' traitor legion. The Amphilis Demonium had its own agenda. It placed Ventris and Pausanias inside the fortress world and assigned them a secondary objective alongside the death oath: retrieve the Heart of Blood, a rival Cornate demon imprisoned deep within the stronghold of Calangor, the fortress of warsmith Hansu. Ventris and Pausanias moved through Medringard. They found a band of renegade space marines, former warriors who had been abandoned or fled their own chapters, and former Imperial Guard slaves who had escaped the Iron Warriors. Together they formed a guerrilla band and began hit-and-run attacks against Hanso's forces from the shadows of the demon world. Calangol was already under siege from two of Hanso's rival warsmiths, Toromino and Barassus, each pressing against the fortress walls with their own armies. Ventris led his band through the chaos of the siege, and inside the walls they were captured. The Demonculaba Hansu ordered Ventris thrown into the Demonculaba itself. The Demonculaba was the Iron Warriors' attempt to manufacture new Chaos Space Marines. Human women had been taken from across Medringard, and their wombs surgically expanded and corrupted using gene seed stolen from the Imperial fists during the fall of Hydra. Caudatus in the 13th Black Crusade. Adolescent male captives were fed into these corrupted wombs. Those who survived the process emerged as skinless, malformed things. If their physiology met the Iron Warriors' standards, skin was cross-stitched onto their bodies from flayed human slaves, and they were inducted as new warriors. Those who failed were flushed through the sewers into the wastelands of Medringard, where in rare cases they survived and banded together as the Unfleshed. While Ventris was inside the Demonculaba, it extracted a portion of his gene seed and all of his memories. These were used to create a new being, fused with the body of a captured cadet named Samuquan. The result was a skinless, psychic and physical clone of Ventris that Hansu would name the Newborn. It carried Ventris's knowledge, his memories, and fragments of his character. It would become one of the most dangerous weapons ever used against Ultramar. Ventris escaped the Demonculaba before the process was complete. He freed Pausanias and the surviving members of their band, the Savage Morticians. The Iron Warriors' flesh surgeons, responsible for the Demonculaba, were destroyed. The survivors found the Unfleshed in the wastelands outside the fortress walls. These skinless mutants, the failed products of the Demonculaba, still worshipped the Emperor. Ventris told them the truth of what they were and what had been done to them. They joined him. The fall of Calangol Ventris led the unfleshed back into Calangol. Honzo's rivals were still hammering at the gates from outside. The battle inside the fortress was total chaos. The unfleshed fought through the Iron Warrior's guards, while Ventris and Pausanias reached the deep vault where the Heart of Blood was imprisoned. They broke the psychic seals holding it. The Heart of Blood tore free. The Amphilis Daemonium arrived. Two cornate demon entities of enormous power clashed inside the fortress. The battle between them destroyed Hanso's stronghold from within, drove off his rivals, and consumed the bulk of his army. Colonel Mikhail Leonid, one of the escaped guardsmen who had fought with Ventris throughout, sacrificed himself to hold off the Sarkomata, the fortress's demon mechanical guardians, to buy Ventris and Pausanias the seconds they needed to escape. Ventris killed most of Hanso's personal retinue during the final pursuit. The unfleshed held off the rest. Ventris shot Hanso at point-blank range, wounding him severely but not killing him. The Amphilis Daemonium, stripped of its demonic power by the battle, had reverted to a functional starship hull. Ventris, Pausanias, and the surviving unfleshed escaped Medrengard on it. The death oath was fulfilled. The Demonculaba was destroyed. Honsu survived. Return and reinstatement. The ship escaped the Eye of Terror and was pulled from the warp to a world called Selinus. What followed there was a second ordeal, as the weight of Medrengard pressed on both men and the unfleshed had to find a place in an Imperium that had no category for what they were. Ventris returned to Ultramar and stood before Calgar once more. The death oath was honored. The Demonculaba was confirmed destroyed. Calgar reinstated both Ventris and Pausanias as full battle brothers. Ventris was given back command of the 4th Company. Sergeant Learchus, who had filed the original charges against him, was waiting when he returned. The newborn and the invasion of Ultramar Honsu had not been idle. He had rebuilt from the ruins of Calangol, assembled a vast warband called the Bloodborne, and recruited Demon Prince Mar, the Reborn, as an ally. He had also recruited Arderic Vons, the renegade Raven Guard, who had abandoned Ventris during the mission on Medrengard, to train the newborn in combat. The newborn carried Uriel Ventris's memories in full. Honzu used them to breach the orbital defenses of Tarentus, Talisa, and Calth, bypassing command protocols that should have been impenetrable, because the newborn knew them from inside Uriel's own mind. The invasion hit Ultramar across multiple worlds simultaneously. The entire Ultramarines chapter mobilized. The Adeptus Mechanicus deployed forces under Magos Locard. An Ordo Malleus warband engaged. A squad of Raven Guard joined the defense. The Ultramaran Planetary Defense Force was raised across every occupied world. Chief Librarian Tigurius confirmed Ventris would be central to the outcome. He was right. Ventris tracked Honsu to the secret tomb of Captain Ventanus on Calth, the final objective of the invasion. Ventris and Pausanias killed the newborn there. Honsu fled. The Bloodborne were broken. The invasion ended. The newborn died, knowing what it was and why it had been made. Ventris looked at the creature that had worn his face and destroyed worlds using his memories, and killed it anyway. The Rubicon and what came after Ventris continued to lead the 4th Company through campaigns that would fill volumes. He fought a second encounter with the Nightbringer on Sycorax, pursuing the Khaitan shard that had scarred his mind on Pavonis decades before. He was sent to the Macrag's honor to deliver news of Mortarian's invasion directly to the resurrected Primarch, Robut Gilliman. He fought in the Plague Wars. He crossed the Rubicon Primaris. The process nearly killed him. He survived, emerged larger and remade, and remained by all accounts exactly who he had always been. He still wears the white rose of Pavonis. He still carries Idaeus' sword. The man stripped of his insignia on the steps of the fortress of Hera and sent into the Eye of Terror on an oath designed to kill him, is now one of the most decorated captains in the chapter's history. His ancestor Lucian died defending Macragge. Uriel went somewhere far worse and walked back out. The fourth company is called the Defenders of Ultramar. Under Ventris, it has defended it from Tyranids, Iron Warriors, Chaos Demons, Khaitan Shards, and the cloned ghost of the captain himself. It has never broken, neither has he.